A secret location in It's the Tom Leykis Show.
Oh, my God.
And now, here he is, Tom Leykis.
Thank you for tuning in to the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon. No. I am your host. Write down our telephone number. You're gonna need it. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. Here we are together again on the radio. And, you know, we have spoken about people who come into the office with their personal lives, their birthdays, their kids' birthdays, their baby showers and baby christenings, weddings, bar mitzvahs, Girl Scout cookie sales, and the like. Now I want to talk about something people bring into the office that I definitely wish they would not bring in. And that is their religious beliefs. I don't want to hear about your religious beliefs at work. Nothing personal. I also don't want to know when your birthday is, your kid's birthday. I don't want to know if you're getting married, getting divorced. Don't want to know about baby showers, graduations, or any of the things going on in your life. If I want to know that stuff, I know directly where to go and ask. I'll just go to you. I'll go to you and ask. But I definitely don't want to hear about what you believe spiritually. It's not my concern. It's not my problem. It is of no interest to me. And frankly, what I believe is none of your business. And I think it's time for people to start getting in the faces of the others who try to do this at the office. I simply don't want to hear about it. I don't think it's an accident that more and more people are avoiding the break room, the lunchroom, the cafeteria. I know many people who don't go out for lunch. They hide in their cubicle. They don't want anyone to see them. Or they go out to their car and drive off and have lunch by themselves because of all the crap that is going on at the office. And I especially don't want to know about your religious beliefs. This has nothing to do with my feelings about religion. Okay? Because I'm an atheist. I don't come to the office and try to get people to be an atheist. I really don't care what you do, and I really don't want to discuss in detail what I believe when I'm not at the office. I also believe when I'm at the office, but it's just none of your goddamn business. Do I talk about it on the radio? Yes. But when I am interacting personally with people, I think all the guys I work with, well, I can safely say that every one of them can say that I have never discussed atheism with them. And honestly, although I suspect I have an idea of how these guys feel about religion, I don't know for sure. And I don't care. You may think you have got the way and the light, and that you've got a Lord who you're just bursting with pride about, and you think the rest of us ought to know. Keep it to yourself. Shut up. You know, if you want to walk down city streets like an insane person and start preaching to people, well, you go right ahead. But when I'm at the office, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want other people talking about it. I don't want people knowing what I believe, what I don't believe, and I don't want people coming to me and trying to change my mind. It's hard enough getting a job these days. It's hard enough getting good pay these days. It's hard enough keeping a job these days. The last thing I want when I'm a prisoner chained to a desk is to have somebody coming up to me and starting to preach to me about something. Can you people all just shut up? Why is it that people feel compelled to come into the office and start using it as a recruiting station? This doesn't make any sense to me. I know there's a lot of people out there who agree with me, and by the same token, I know there's a lot of you who love using the office as a recruiting station. And why the hell is that?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. Tom Leykis.
Can't get enough of you, man. I have you at work, I have you in the car. When I get out of the car, I bring the radio inside and still listen to you.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Why do people bring their religion to work? For God's sake. Greg on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Great.
Hey, I just wanted to agree but disagree with you, just to give you a heads up. And I was born into a Christian family, full-on Bible thumpers everywhere you go. That's kind of what they're trained to do, is to preach the Word of God, because their goal is, if they can reach just one person, they have saved another life. But I actually do agree with you. They don't need to spread it around and Bible thump. It actually turns it off. But that's why they do it, Tom.
I think it's outrageous, and it's time for them to stop.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what, Tom? I think you have a great show. I really do. And what I want to say is, if somebody told you not to talk about a certain thing, I think you would go out there and talk about it even more, just in spite.
No, so you want to know something? Again, what I have said about talking about people's birthday parties and baby showers at the office,
yeah,
that's your personal life. So is your religious beliefs. I don't want to hear. I don't want to know.
I hear you, Tom, but just to let you know, I know you're an atheist, so I don't know if you've had any practice with Catholic Judaism or Christianity. That's their goal in life, is to just get out there and reach somebody, touch them, and bring them closer to the Lord. But you know what? I agree with you, Tom. It's not the place. You want to do that, save it for church, save it for your personal time. But what people don't understand is just live your life the way you should, whether you're religious or not, and people will see that in you. You don't have to talk to them about it.
Good points.
All right, Tom, can you take me out Kobe style?
I certainly can.
This is about us. She's so special to me. Yeah, it beats in my heart. Yeah, the air I breathe. She's so special to me.
It's 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number here. Let's say hello to Lisa on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello. The reason why I'm calling is because I'm one of those people that, like, eat lunches in my car and stay in my office. But, like, my coworkers, like, make fun of me for doing that. Like, they're always talking crap about me. So just because I don't want to get involved in their personal lives, like, all day long, that's all they do is talk about, you know, like, what they're going to do this weekend, or all, like, I don't know. It's just so weird because, I mean, just because I don't want to talk to them, they talk crap about me. And that workplace was, like, probably the worst, most unprofessional workplace I've ever worked at, ever.
Isn't that nice? That's so Christian.
I just want to say, it's so funny because when I was with my ex, he used to always talk about you and all the topics that you've always talked about. I was like, who the heck is this Tom Leykis guy? And I didn't like you very much because he would always come home with all these issues. And I was like, I'm not with him anymore. But now that I'm not with him, I started to listen to you. And I was like, I think I might just, all of a sudden, I'm starting to like you.
It had to happen.
And I was like, I don't know. And I've been listening to you for like like probably 2 or 3 years now, ever since I've left him. And it's so crazy because I used to, like, I didn't even know about you. I just was like, why does he always talk about this guy? And who is this guy? And now I think I'm so obsessed. I, like, get into my car, and the first thing I want to do is turn on to your station.
I love that.
Of course, there's stuff that I don't like about you still, but but you're so entertaining.
I'm a guy. You shouldn't like everything about me.
Well, yeah, I guess. And now
I'm a creep. I'm a jerk. I'm a bastard. I'm a son of a bitch.
That's why I love you. And my boyfriend now is starting to wonder. He's all, I've noticed you've been listening to Tom Leykis a lot lately. And I was like, well, so do you.
Uh-huh. It was okay when he was listening. Now he's getting worried.
Well, no, this is my new boyfriend. My ex-boyfriend was the one who was always listening to you and talking about you, and I didn't like that. I was like, I don't even know who you are, and I don't like you. Just because of, like, he would just come home with all these, whatever issues that you would talk on the radio, he would come home and he'd be like, oh, my God, when you were with, I don't know, just bringing up stuff from my past, you know, and that would just drive me crazy. I'm like, what the heck, you know, because he was so insecure, so... Anyways, and I just like, I think it's cute how you have the little, like, at the end when the people want to end it out with, take him out with, like, a bong hit or a Kobe style, whatever. I think that's kind of cute. And every time you do the Kobe style, I get a little turned on. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, hurry up, think about something really quick. Football, I don't like...
Maybe I need to take you, maybe I need to come over there and take you out Kobe style myself.
I just heard it, and I was like, oh, my gosh.
This could be you, Lisa.
Okay, that's enough.
What time should I be over there, darling?
Okay, you got me all ready now. I'm on my way home. That's good for my boyfriend.
He's a lucky man.
All right. I guess that's it. I will talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Exactly. Zach on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, I just wanted to chime in on the religious recruitment topic. I just had a kind of a, I guess it's a funny story that happened to me, but I call it I was spiritually raped, man. I used to work at a convention center, and there was a Christian convention going on there. And I was just an employee. I was in high school. I was cleaning the bathrooms, not a glamorous job or anything. But, you know, one of the guys came up to me and said, hey, would you want to say a prayer? And I didn't want to be rude. I just went, okay, I guess, you know. I'm not really religious myself. And then he has to repeat after me. He says the prayer and say, I accept Jesus as my Savior and this and that. And, you know, I just repeated it, you know. And then he calls all his buddies around. Hey, this is Zach. He just accepted Jesus Christ as his Savior. And, you know, aren't you so glad and happy? And, you know, I felt
why did you agree to do that again?
Well, I mean, I was an employee at the place at the time, you know, and I just felt like these guys are renting out the space. I don't know, you know. And then, you know, looking back, it was pretty stupid of me, but...
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was trying to be polite, but, you know, I didn't think it was going to be a big thing. I thought I'd just bow my head and listen to him talk, but then it ended up, you know, having him, you know, convince me to say, like, I accept Jesus as my Savior and this, like that. And then the worst part was he invites everybody, hey, I heard you you accepted Jesus as your Savior. And they were so proud, like they saved my life. And I just was like, you know, I didn't really mean that. I just went along with it.
Unbelievable.
It was really unbelievable. I was spiritually raped, Tom. That's what I
hear.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, man. And I can't stand it. I'm holding my tongue. I don't want to cuss on the air, but it really irritates me.
Thank you for that, Zach. I appreciate the call. Here's Bruno on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Bruno.
I have called in the past. It's been a while. I'm actually an atheist myself, and I used to work at a company that was full of Bible thumpers, and they have really, really interesting things that went on with them, and they were a total pain in the butt to work with.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think probably the best story I ever had was I had this one that worked in the cubicle right behind me. I was in advertising sales, but for print. Now I'm actually in radio, but whole other issue. And she said every day at 1 o'clock something's going to happen to you. And I have a very, very good sense of humor. So every day at 1 o'clock I'd stop by her desk and I'd go, Joyce, something happened to me. And she goes, what? With this like really, just eager look on her face. And I go, I just had lunch. And then another time I'm coming back from the restroom and, it was about 1 o'clock. So I stopped by the thing and I go, Joyce, something just happened to me. And she goes, oh, what was it? And I said,
oh, boy. 1-800-5800-TOM. Here comes Ernie on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
Great.
I'm hugely entertained by your show day after day, but I got to tell you, I think you kind of checkmated yourself here a little bit.
Really?
I don't think there's any difference between your radio show and maybe one of those church religious shows on an AM station.
Well, first of all, we're not talking about what's on the radio. We're talking about what happens at the office.
I understand, but you on the radio are nothing but a preacher.
It doesn't matter what you think I am on the radio. I'm not at your office.
I understand. And I agree with you that I think it's probably not the place to do that. I'm not religious. I'm agnostic, not atheist. But I find it interesting, hugely entertaining that you're nothing but a preacher on the radio, preaching your ways, preaching your beliefs, telling people what they should do who can't make up their own mind most of the time. And
well, you can call it what you like. I consider myself a professor. If you want to call it a preacher, that's fine, except a preacher generally implies God.
Generally implies God.
Yes.
Well, whether it's God or whether it's
because
to
call someone a preacher, it comes from the phrase preaching the word of God.
Nonetheless, you're preaching your beliefs, right?
So is everybody who does a talk show.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no difference here, Tom.
The difference is some people are trying to throw religion in your face and others are not.
Well, you are throwing religion. You're throwing your atheist beliefs in people's face.
That is not a religion.
Well, it's a sense of what people believe, how people believe. But it's not. Because atheists don't agree on anything except one thing, and that is we don't believe in a supreme being. We don't believe in anything. Okay, point well taken.
That's not a religion.
I agree with what you're saying.
We don't agree on anything. The atheists have all different political beliefs. They have different taste in food, music, history, what they're interested in. You could not predict what all atheists are going to do politically, socially, unlike religious groups.
Do you participate in politics? Do you vote?
Yes, I do.
What are your beliefs in, how does atheism affect the way you vote?
It doesn't.
I thought you just said it did.
I didn't say that.
What did you say? Repeat it again. It didn't make sense to me.
I said to you that it has nothing to do with religion. And that atheists don't all believe the same thing. We only agree on one issue.
What is that?
That we don't believe in a supreme being.
I do agree with that. I thank you. I do agree with that. But I do believe
it's not a religion. Well, no, but by definition, I'm not a preacher. I do consider myself a professor. If you want to call me a self-proclaimed teacher, that's fine. A preacher preaches a religion. A religion has a belief in a supreme being. I don't.
Okay. I concur with that. I agree with you. But in some sense of the word, what you do on the radio is nothing different than help people try to understand how they should live their lives.
No, it's not. And here's the difference is, I don't come into your office when you can't leave until 5 o'clock and start getting in your face about Jesus.
Well, thank God for that.
Do you see how big a difference that is?
Being in your office versus being on the radio and my own private choices, I completely agree.
Right.
I like the fact that I can go up and down the radio station.
If you don't like what I'm talking about, you can turn it off and come back in an hour.
And I love that freedom. But you can also walk away from some idiot.
In the office, you can't go. In the office, you can't go very far. If the guy in the next cubicle is a Jesus freak, you're a dead man.
Yeah, that would suck, wouldn't it?
Where are you going to go?
Oh, well taken. Well taken. We do have some subtle differences, though, but I do believe what you're doing.
These are not subtle differences. These are major differences.
It'd be interesting to see if any other callers think that you're actually preaching
whether they think it or not, they don't know the definition of the word preaching or preacher.
Well, let's see if anyone else agrees.
It would be interesting to see how ignorant people are. And we do that every day.
But let's see if anyone else agrees that calls.
Oh, you've said it 7 times already. We're done. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Let's say hello here to George on the Tom Leykis show.
Hi, how you doing, Tom? This is Pastor George. And I was listening to what you had to say, and Christians, when they're born again, when they have this experience, their life has changed, and they have something to say to people.
We don't want to hear it.
But still, when the creator of the universe is giving you a directive, and you believe that he is...
Just because you're psychotic and delusional doesn't mean you have to share it with the rest of the class.
But I'm not psychotic.
We believe you are.
Well, but God says that...
We don't want to hear what God has to say. Not on this program. Not interested. 1-800-5800. You're going to try to turn this show into one of those opportunities. And I'm not going to let you do it. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Here comes Mark on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hello, Professor. What I wanted to share was I've worked in an office with all men, an engineering office. I'm a draftsman. And I've worked in an office with a lot of women. And I observed even changes in myself between the two different environments. With the first office, with all men, we were all about giving our customer the best possible product. And we were focused on that. And we really busted ourselves for the company, working hard. In the office with a lot of women there, I got to admit it was fun having those cute little girls around, and they brought a lot to the table. But they also distracted us and brought all kinds of emotion into the thing where we could have produced more for our company and for our clients without the women around. I've observed both. I went back to the other office with all men, and it's not as fun being all men, but we are producing a lot better in that environment. That's what
It's not an accident that men make more than women do.
Well, you know, I changed myself working with the women. I found myself becoming weak and not focusing the way I should. You know, Christmas presents, decorations at all the different holidays and things like that are kind of fun, but that's not really focusing on what we're here for. We're here to make money. We're here to provide a good product for our clients and for our bosses. And get out of there and have fun at home. But go to work, and let's make America strong that way. That's what I think.
Couldn't agree with you more. I'm making America strong right now.
You sure are. And that other guy didn't deserve your instruction. He doesn't get you. I'm glad he's gone.
Thank you for that. It's Mike on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Tom, I think
Mike,
you're great.
Thank you.
I was listening to the religious topic, and no doubt, man, I work around a bunch of religious nuts on the construction job. So, yeah, I labor out there, and they're talking about it. Now, you know, it wouldn't bother me so much if I bought some cookies from one of their kids or something like that, you know. But I have to put up with a fair amount of religiousness, and I have learned to be very tolerant. So, you know, what can you do about somebody just yipping and yapping at you all day about cadets or going to Mexico and building a house for the poor? I tried to call earlier, about a month ago or so, a couple weeks ago or so. You had said something about some taxes, complaining about taxes for the rich. I personally think that we should tax the churches like anybody else. That would stimulate our economy just fine. What do you think, Tom?
Well, I've always been in favor of that. And the reason I'm in favor of it is because I do not believe you are born with a religion. I believe that religion is a chosen lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Like joining any club. And as far as I'm concerned, if there's profit being generated by an organization, that profit ought to be... And by the way, if a church can prove that it's taking the money from the collection plate and feeding people with it or clothing them, they should get a tax deduction like any other organization or individual who feeds or clothes the homeless or what have you. But if those profits, if the money being put in the collection plate is not being used to better mankind, is not being used to feed and clothe people, then they should have to pay taxes like everybody else does.
I personally believe a lot of that money just goes back into their system. I mean, you can try explaining to somebody who's been born and raised in, well, I mean, it doesn't matter what religion, just religion, period. It's going to be pretty hard for you to explain that that there is not a God or another God is the actual right God. It's going to be pretty tough. I personally have been raised with no religion, and I am kind of like the black sheep. I'm looking from the outside in, and I don't really like what I see, to be honest with you, boss.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you, Mike. In fact, I agree with you, for God's sake. But thank you for that. It's Peter on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Peter.
How are you?
Great.
Good. Hey, listen, I happen to be a Christian. I'm a firm believer. And I understand you're an atheist, and you're entitled to your own opinion, and I appreciate that. And you know what? I don't like the Christians, how they give us a bad name, the ones that, want to be a preacher all day long and want to shove it down people's throats. If you want it, you want it. If you don't, listen, I'm not going to sit there and preach it and shove it down you. And as far as the workplace goes, there's a time and a place for everything. And just like you're not allowed to make rude jokes and things like that to make people feel uncomfortable, people might not feel comfortable about religion. So, keep it to yourself.
I agree with you, Peter. And by the way, on that basis, I completely respect whatever your beliefs are, but no interest in trying to degrade you in any way, as long as you'll leave me alone. I'm a let live kind of guy.
Exactly. I'm not sitting here trying to convince people that they should believe what I believe, and vice versa. I don't want somebody... I don't even want another Christian to come and preach their beliefs to me. It's like, come on, leave me alone. I just want to do my thing.
I agree with you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too, Peter. Appreciate the call. Here's Luke on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tommy.
Lukey.
How you doing?
Great.
Hey, listen, man, I agree with you on almost all your viewpoints, especially this one. Your viewpoints on religion are just spot on. I like to tell all my religious friends, thank God I'm an atheist.
One of my favorite lines. I love that.
No, good shirt too. Hey man, but I was just saying, I was calling. What was I gonna say? Oh, whenever I go to work, I work with some Christians, some Muslims, and everything like that. When you go in and you try and voice your opinion on, let's say, try and talk about evolution or something like that, they become so offended and they're so critical. But then when they come and try and talk to you, it's completely unfair.
Well, again, I think it's time for people who are sick of hearing about this stuff to stand up and get in people's faces.
Seriously, yeah. And I think there's a good movement going on, too, with, Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and whatnot coming out with all these books and really raising the public awareness about it. So I think that's good, but...
Yeah,
it's time. Let you know how I feel about that. And plus, going on to extend upon what he was saying about taxing the churches, I think we should also take it off the dollar bill, taking God We Trust off there. I think there should not be the 10 Commandments on the near government buildings, everything like that.
I totally agree.
Thank you, Tommy.
All right. Thank you, baby. Appreciate the call.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
I just started listening to you yesterday, man.
What is the most important thing that you've learned here so far?
That I ain't got to take no girl out to dinner to get some.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-TOM is our telephone number. What is it with people coming to the office trying to preach to us? What is that all about? Mark on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hey there, Tom.
Hey there, Mark.
Hey, I've been listening to you for about 5 years.
Great.
And I agree with everything you say as far as women go. As far as the topic of God, that's the only one that touches me. The only one. And the reason I say that is only because I believe in God. So now we have to... I didn't hear... Let me step back. I didn't hear the whole conversation of the show or what the topic is, but I heard the last caller talk about taking God off the dollar bill and all that. One thing I have to ask you is, as an atheist, why does it matter if God's even on the dollar bill?
Because God is a fictional character. We have separation of church and state. And I have a right to believe that God is a fictional character and not to accept the idea that God is something in which we all trust, because we all don't.
No, I understand. Like, I'm going to give a stupid example, and this is probably retarded, but anyways, when we wrap Christmas gifts, we put Santa Claus on the Christmas gift because it makes people feel good, right?
It does.
So don't you think the people that believe in God, it makes them feel good as well, even though it may be fictional?
It's not only fictional. The image of Santa Claus, as we know him, was created by the Coca-Cola Company of Atlanta, Georgia.
I understand.
This is not a religious figure.
Okay, I understand. Let me step back then. So God was created in the beginning of time, I guess, in the beginning of man, because that's when he was talked about. So Santa Claus was created when? What year?
In the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Okay, so we're talking God, 2000 BC?
The name Santa Claus existed before then.
Okay.
But the image of a guy in a red suit and a white beard, that was an ad for Coca-Cola.
No, I understand that. But see, Santa Claus doesn't give advice. Santa Claus doesn't help you with your life.
Neither does Jesus. Jesus does not live among us and doesn't give advice either.
I'm listening.
I just said Jesus does not give advice either.
Well, Santa Claus gives
Santa Claus says you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout. I'm telling you why.
I agree with you. But that's
his
hope.
preaching.
It's called fake hope. It's fake hope.
Well, by the way, most hope is fake. It is self-generated.
I agree with you. The only thing we can do as men is fight and dream and accomplish our goals. That's it. The only thing that I believe that God does for me is he gives me the courage and the strength to continue, even when I want to give up.
But there are people who believe that about rabbit's feet. There are people who believe that about jewelry left by their great-grandmother, family heirlooms.
But see, those things are meaningless.
To you.
Those things.
To you.
Well, if you want to throw a dart at me, I'll accept it.
It's not a dart. They're meaningless to you. That's not a dart. That's a fact. Somebody else's lucky rabbit foot doesn't mean anything to you, but it does mean something to them.
Ephesians chapter 6, and I heard what you said, and I understand what you're saying, and most people are blind. Ephesians chapter 6 says that I have to put on the full armor of God so I can extinguish the flaming arrows that you just threw at me.
Well, who wrote that? Some guy.
Yes, that was Paul.
Some guy who made
Paul.
claims about his connections to some other guy named Jesus or God.
Correct. That is right.
But that's it. If you choose to believe all of these claims, you're certainly entitled to believe that stuff.
Oh, no.
But for other people, they have belief in various objects or personas that would mean nothing to you.
No.
What you do is you say what they have is fake hope. Or fake. It's all fake.
Right.
Hope is your own self-delusion.
Well, it takes action. And that's where most people lose. Because even though they put their faith in whatever, whether it's God or like all the things you mentioned, if you take hope in it, you have to put action, because if you don't put action, you're not going to get anywhere anyways.
What kind of action are you talking about?
Well, most people pray. They pray, but they're not willing to take the action to actually do what they want to do.
Actually, I'll save them a step. Just engage in action. Don't bother praying. Just do.
Well, see, what prayer does is it stimulates the brain. Because when you're really down, Tom, and you haven't been down. I mean, you've been down a few times. I'm sure you have.
I grew up in the poorest neighborhood in America with 4 kids sharing 1 bedroom. Believe me, I've been down.
Yeah, the thing is that you've achieved a level. Okay, you've achieved a level that I would think maybe
I haven't prayed once.
Only 1% of the United States has achieved that, and I can quote that.
And I did it without praying.
But that's you. You're 1%.
Fine. Maybe the 1% knows something that the 99% doesn't.
You're the exception to the God rule. How's that? I'm going to throw it back at you. I'm just, you know what I'm saying.
I don't think I'm the exception to the God rule. I don't think so.
For sure. So if you look at the God rule, you're the exception.
Well, there is no rule. It's in your head.
It's a standard.
In your head.
True. However, Tom, that standard keeps people safe, okay? It helps them to...
it doesn't.
Okay,
it helps... It helps.
That,
here's what it does. Okay. It excuses... I'm going to tell you what it does. It excuses the lazy. It makes people feel better about never accomplishing anything with their lives. It gives them an excuse for becoming drug addicts and alcoholics and wife beaters. They can always say, well, I found Jesus. I mean, that's what it does.
Okay.
You know, I never use God or lack of God for what I do or don't do.
Right. Take responsibility.
God is a convenient excuse for hundreds of millions of people. I killed people in the name of God. I'm a drunk, but God will save me.
Right.
God is just a big, convenient blanket of an excuse that covers hundreds of millions of people. For people who don't accomplish anything, don't do anything, don't amount to anything, will never amount to anything. It makes them feel good about being losers.
Right. See, like myself, Tom, I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm a chemical engineer, and I've been in the industry for 10 years, and I make 6 figures. And I guess, okay, let me not to change the subject because it's your subject, but I got 3 kids, and I'm divorced, and I've been through a lot in my life, and I didn't want to make that divorce happen, but unfortunately I was put in that situation, and so I've listened to your show many times, and I'm experiencing the child support issues, all the things you guys talk about. I'm right there. I'm your son, okay? Okay?
All right.
Let me make that clear. I just want to defend the people that do believe in God. There are some people that honestly are trying their best, Tom, and they don't have anybody else.
But they're actually doing the exact opposite. They don't want to try at all.
Changing.
And so they want to lay it on God, including the people who say things will be better when they get to heaven.
No, but their lives are changing. I mean, okay, maybe it's an exception to your rule in general, okay? Another one, okay? It's an exception. But see, the way I see it, Tom, is that, you know what, even if there's 1 or 2 or 3, it doesn't matter to me, because as long as their lives change and it gets better and they excel, then I can't deny that.
Yeah, but there are some people who do it through hypnosis. Some people who do it through, years ago, people did it through EST. People who do it, I mean, come on. There are some people who think Scientology is the way to go.
Oh, no. I agree with you. I mean, everybody's trying to find a solution, and the solution doesn't exist.
No, the solution does exist.
Well,
and nobody wants to accept. The solution is, yes, take the blame for the stupid things you've done.
Exactly.
And be proactive and do things right in the future. That's it. We don't need God or L. Ron Hubbard or anybody else.
No, well, sometimes, Tom, sometimes people, they are put in situations, or they put themselves in situations and they get lost, okay? And
they put themselves in situations.
They did, yes.
Then they need someone to blame it on so they don't have to take responsibility.
No. God is just the way out in order to change their brain.
How many people say God had plans for me? That's why I have cancer, because God had plans for me. Did God plan 3 packs of cigarettes a day for you, you moron?
God says that it rains on the poor and the rich. It rains on the sinners and the righteousness. So it's like, what you're saying is correct, because it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to feel pain regardless. And you can't blame it on God, and you can't excuse it on God. I agree with you 100%.
But that's what people do.
I know they do that.
And that is why at the office, and that's where it brings us back to the topic I'm talking about, that's why I don't want to hear this at work.
I understand that, but you're making money.
In fact, I don't want to hear it anytime.
I know it's bothering you a lot.
It bothers me because I know what I believe. I'm not going to change my mind. And therefore, there's no need to hear about it anymore.
Well, you know what? I'm still your son.
I like that.
I'm still your son, dude.
Thank you for that.
And when I got divorced, I listened to you, and I'll tell you, I got laid once per week listening to your show.
Now, would Jesus get you laid like that?
No, but see, that was my past. Now I'm okay. I'm 36. Okay, let's talk about this one. Let's see what you got to say about this. I'm 36 years old, and I moved in with my girlfriend. I know that you don't like that, but then again, I look back and you say 25 is the cutoff. I'm an older guy, and you know, I'm thinking.
What does Jesus feel about all that fornication?
As far as the fornication, no, it's not good.
But you're doing it anyway.
Well, yes.
All I had to hear. Thanks a lot for the call.
The Tom Leykis Show.